History is unfolding in Alaska, guys. The world expected Donald J. Trump to just walk into chaos, protests, and humiliation as Vladimir Putin set foot on American soil. But instead, Trump just flipped the script, turning what looked like a hostile stage into a brilliant show of strength that's leaving Russia cracked, cornered, and desperate. Now, think about it. Thousands flooded Anchorage with Ukrainian flags, chanting, waving signs that read, "Putin Go Home" and "Russia Never Again." The media, though, they thought that those protests would embarrass Trump. But the truth, he turned them into leverage, proof that America will not bend, proof that even the streets of Alaska stand against Putin's aggression. Now, here's the real kicker, guys. So while protesters played their part outside, inside that Air Force base, Trump actually had the upper hand. In fact, Russia's economy collapsing, its people restless, Putin arriving not as a conqueror, but as a cornered man under the gun. Guys, here's what you're not hearing anywhere else. What Trump did next. The symbolism of Alaska, the shadow of Reagan and Gorbachev, the one move that may just force Putin to the table for a ceasefire in the Ukraine. It's all coming together right now. So stick with me, guys, because we're going to break down why the Alaska protests actually backfired, how President Trump's NATO strategy just trapped Putin, and the Arctic factor that nobody's talking about that could change the global chessboard forever. Now, this isn't just another meeting. This is Trump turning Alaska into a battlefield of ideas, and Putin is losing. So let's go ahead and get into it. If you appreciate the updates, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much, guys. So here we are, August 2025, and the eyes of the world are locked in on Alaska, guys. The narrative that the legacy media tried to push onto us, chaos, humiliation, weakness, come on. They painted the scene as if Donald Trump was walking into a disaster, with Vladimir Putin arriving on American soil as some kind of an unstoppable strongman. Guys, let's be clear. What actually unfolded is the complete opposite. Trump walked in steady, prepared, and strategic, and Putin walked in cornered. Now, let's talk about what hit the headlines first. The protests. Anchorage lit up with thousands of demonstrators, many people waving Ukrainian flags, others marching with bands and holding signs like "Go Home, Putin," "Russia Never Again," and even the biting line, "I can see fascists from my house." This is a jab straight out of Alaska's own history. Groups like Stand Up Alaska led the charge, demanding that authoritarian dictators never be welcomed in their state. This is the tension point I really want you to think about here, guys. Were these demonstrations truly a powerful rejection of Trump's diplomacy, or did they backfire? Did they, in fact, hand Trump leverage by showing the world that American people themselves will not tolerate Putin's aggression? Because remember, when protesters chant "Russia Never Again," it's not Trump that they're rejecting, it's Putin. It's the ideas of Russia expanding its reach. And that puts Trump in a position of strength because he now walks into the summit with undeniable proof that America stands firm against Russia. But that's just the beginning, because while the camera zoomed in on angry signs and marching bands, something much bigger was at play. Trump's calculated strategy for how to kind of use this moment to his advantage, turning this chaos into clarity. And wait until you hear how he handled this thing. Now, Chapter works months ahead, reviewing plans based on what's coming next year, not what's already here. This is why I partnered with Chapter. Sharon Bertusik, she got a plan with $0 premiums, zero medication costs, and a copay drop. Get this, guys, from $89 to $20. Hey, Buck, he told me his $160 per month savings felt like a raise. Hey, would anybody else be happy with $166 per month savings? Hands in the air, please. Guys, if you wait until January to find out that your plan changed, you are stuck for the year. I know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you wait, you're going to get stuck. So don't wait. There's a phone number down at the bottom of the screen right now. Pick up the telephone. Call them right now. Phone number is 909-563-8279, or visit them at askchapter.org/Ron before those changes take effect and lock you in. Don't let it happen. Call our friends right now. So here's where Trump's brilliance really shows through, okay? Most politicians, when they're faced with these loud protests, they either lash out or they retreat. But Donald J. Trump, he doesn't do either of those things. He lets the noise just kind of roll off his back by choosing Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson as the stage for the summit, Trump flipped the optics again. Instead of caving into the chaos, he anchored the meeting in a secure, controlled environment, America's turf, not Putin's playground. And here's the genius. The protests were not erased. They were reframed. Okay? Trump turned what the media called resistance into undeniable proof that America is united against Putin's aggression. Now think about it. What stronger position could a U.S. president walk into negotiations with? The streets were screaming no to Russia, while the commander-in-chief of the United States calmly faces Russia's leader Putin eye to eye. That's not weakness. That is clearly leverage. Meanwhile, let's talk about the man that's across the table, because despite the chants and the headlines, the real pressure wasn't on Trump. It was on Vladimir Putin. Russia is under the gun like never before. Their economy was battered by sanctions. Their people restless and unhappy. Their global influence is shrinking. Putin didn't land in Alaska as a strongman. He landed as a desperate man searching for a way to claw back legitimacy. So while the world zoomed in on the Anchorage protests, the real drama was unfolding behind closed doors. Trump's steady and strategic meeting a Putin who knows he's cornered. And so here's the big question you really need to be asking yourself right now. If Russia is cracking under pressure, what historical playbook is Putin about to reach for next? And how does Trump counter that? Now, hang out with me, guys, because next I want to really kind of dig into the shadow of this history here. The Reagan-Gorbachev comparisons, the Cold War echoes, and yes, even the moment that a young KGB agent named Vladimir Putin was watching it all unfold. And of course, I want to bring it back to Ukraine, the heart of this entire battle. To really understand what happened right now in Alaska, you got to go back and look at history, guys. Think about President Ronald Reagan in 1986. In Reykjavik, Reagan walked away from a summit with Gorbachev when the Soviets demanded that he abandon the Star Wars missile defense program. The world thought that Reagan had failed, but history proved otherwise. That tough stance led directly to the Moscow summit and the eventual collapse of the Soviet Union itself. And so here's the eerie twist. During Reagan's famous walk through Red Square with Gorbachev, among the KGB agents disguised as tourists was none other than Vladimir Putin himself, camera around his neck, watching history unfold. Now, if we fast forward nearly 4 decades, now Putin is no longer a shadow in the crowd. He's across the table from Donald J. Trump. And just like Reagan, Trump holds the upper hand, refusing to blink when Russia is under pressure. Now, let's not forget the heart of this crisis here, Ukraine. In July, Russia clawed out some limited territorial gains, but holding them has proven costly for them. The Ukrainian people, they remain defiant, and the world has not turned away. Protesters in Anchorage held up signs demanding release the 19,546 kidnapped Ukrainian children. That's the moral weight that's pressing down on the summit. So here's where Trump's strategy shines again. Critics say Zelensky's absence in Alaska is weakness. But ask yourself, was this actually Trump's smartest move yet? By negotiating directly with Putin first, Trump is avoiding distractions. He's setting the tone. He's making it clear America leads the conversation. Ukraine's voice will matter, but only after Trump secures terms that box Russia in. That's not abandonment. That's sequencing. That's pure leverage. Now, here's a question I want you to wrestle with. If Trump uses Alaska to set the stage for Ukraine's comeback, are we about to see the first real pathway to peace? Or is Putin just desperate enough to double down and gamble on chaos? Now, of course, I want to tackle exactly that, like the possibility of a ceasefire announcement, what it would mean for America, for the Ukraine, and for Russia's crumbling future. And then we need to talk about NATO, the massive global stakes, and of course, the Arctic chessboard that hardly anyone's talking about right now. So here's the breaking tension point everyone's whispering about in Washington and across Europe, a potential ceasefire. Even seasoned analysts like Dana Perino, they're admitting it's in play. Now imagine the scene here, guys. Picture this. Close your eyes. President Trump and Putin walk out of Alaska, not just shaking hands, but announcing a pathway to stop the bloodshed in the Ukraine. For families desperate for peace, that would be monumental. For America's position in the world, it would be historic. So here's the split. Critics are going to say this gives Putin breathing room. They're going to argue Trump's cutting deals with a dictator. Yet, if you look closer, who's really holding the cards here, right? I think it's Trump. I think it's very clear it's Trump. He's the one that's forcing Putin to the table. He's the one that's setting the conditions. He is the one that's showing the world that America, under his leadership, is driving events, not reacting to them. So whether it's an immediate ceasefire or maybe the setup for the next round of talks, Trump positions the U.S. as the only true power capable of enforcing stability. Now, expand the lens a little bit. This isn't just about Ukraine. It's about NATO. For decades, NATO was a patchwork alliance with too many nations dodging their responsibilities, okay? But now under Trump, that changed. He demanded allies pony up the money, and they did. Today, NATO is more unified than it's been in at least a generation, not in spite of Trump, but because of Trump. And so that unity really matters, because Putin's dream has always been to divide NATO, to peel off weaker allies, to recreate the Soviet sphere of influence piece by piece. But instead, in Alaska, Putin faced the exact opposite. Trump standing tall, NATO aligned, America leading. For Putin, that's not just frustrating, it's humiliating. And so here's the kicker. Trump's play with NATO isn't just about Europe. It's actually about the future balance of power worldwide. So if NATO is unified under American leadership, where does this leave Russia? Cornered. Exactly. So, but this story is not over yet, guys, because there's one factor that most of the media is completely ignoring. This is something that really makes Russia itself the perfect stage for this showdown, okay? I'm talking about the Arctic, the resources, the minerals, the geopolitical chessboard that could define the next 50 years. And Trump just sent Putin a message by holding the summit there. Now, hang out with me, guys, because this next part is really going to blow this picture wide open. Now, I want to talk about why Alaska isn't just a backdrop. It was a message, because beyond the protests and the press coverage, this summit was about the Arctic. The Arctic holds some of the richest untapped minerals and energy reserves in the world. I'm talking rare earth elements, vital for technology and defense, oil and gas reserves that could fuel economies for decades. And here's the kicker. It's also the new frontier of global power competition. Russia wants the Arctic. China wants the Arctic. But who owns the high ground? America does. And President Trump knew exactly what he was doing by bringing Putin to Alaska. It wasn't just a convenient location. It was a statement. The U.S. controls the Arctic chessboard, not Russia. And when Trump greets Putin on American tundra, it's a silent reminder, this is our house, this is our ground, this is our power, our resources. This may be the most watched moment of all, the press conference. So will it be Trump standing alone or Trump and Putin side by side? That matters, because Putin thrives when he controls a narrative, when he sends his spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, out to spin the story first. But Trump, he thrives under the toughest questions. He doesn't hide behind handlers. He takes to fire directly. And so here's the tension point that you really need to watch. Will Trump use that press conference to project America's strength and corner Putin publicly, or will Putin attempt to twist the narrative, painting himself as the equal on U.S. soil? Now, one thing is certain. If Trump seizes that microphone first, it will be his framing, not Putin's. That travels the globe, guys. And so this kind of leads us right into the last part of the story that I wanted to share with you guys. Closing symbolism, okay? Because what happened in Alaska wasn't just another meeting. It was a turning point. And the way that Trump left Putin cornered may go down in history. So let's pull it all together. Vladimir Putin landed in Alaska expecting leverage. He thought protests were going to weaken Trump, that the optics would embarrass America, and that his presence alone would intimidate the world. But what actually happened, really? I mean, he faced thousands of protesters shouting, "Russia never again." A united America standing firm with Trump and against Russia, and a president who never blinked. Trump didn't just hold his ground, he flipped the entire narrative. So by using Alaska as the stage, he reminded Putin who actually controls the Arctic. By keeping NATO tight, he proved that America's alliances are stronger than ever. By facing down the chaos with calm, patriotic resolve, he already showed that the real pressure wasn't on him, it was on Russia. So this wasn't weakness, this was chaos. I mean, this was nothing short of strategy. So at the end, Russia cracked under that pressure. Trump's move, it was firm, it was rather brilliant, it was symbolic, and it left Putin cornered. And America, once again, is leading the world. Now, if you found this breakdown powerful, do not go anywhere because YouTube thinks that you're really going to enjoy the next video that just popped up on your screen right here. Trust me, guys, you're not going to want to miss it. Click it now, and I'll see you on the other side.